Okay, I'm going to explain to you how groups like the IRGC are able to defeat the United States. And I know that you guys think that, that's crazy because, we've destroyed them entirely, destroyed all their leadership. But I would say it's not a victory until there is absolute regime change. And I'm going to explain why I don't think that's going to happen. So, America, and specifically the American public, has a very weak stomach. They are not worried about a decade from now. They're worried about tomorrow. They're worried about their paycheck, their stock portfolio, the price of oil, the price of gas. This is what the average American is worried about. It's not a nationalist war economy. Wartime populace like it once was. Now, when you hear of war, it's kind of like, I don't want to do that. I want to stay home. Leave me the fuck alone. I don't want to fight a war to die for the upper class or to go and die for Israel. Obviously, that's ridiculous, but this is unfortunately what most of the low IQ populace has been saying. So, the reason why these regimes are able to defeat America is because they understand one thing. They don't need to defeat America with bullets. They just need to convince the American populace that they can't win the war. And when the American populace starts to complain to the president, eventually he has to actually take action. We lost 50,000 troops in Vietnam, and eventually they said, listen, if you don't get out of Vietnam, we're not going to vote for you again. So what is the president going to do? Obviously, he enjoys the luxury of being president. He's going to take out the troops. 50,000 troops lost for no reason. We lost in Korea. Now the North Koreans have nuclear weapons. We can't tell them what to do. And whenever Kim Jong-un decides to do rocket testing, all we can do is say, hey, we'll give you some money if you stop. And he'll say, okay, fine. And every time he wants some more money, he just launches rockets at the world. So the average American citizen, unfortunately, doesn't understand that having Iran in that position as well is going to be detrimental for foreign policy, and it's going to be extremely expensive down the line. But again, like I said, most people are very, very low IQ. And this is the result of unlimited democracy, which calls for instant gratification, these kind of things. But we're going to get into that in a little bit, I promise. And so what you have to understand is that Trump has midterms coming up. The Republicans are bitching to him saying, please, we need to have a deal right away because the price of gas is going up. We need to, fix the economy, this and that. And Trump is getting tired of it being like, okay, whatever. And J.D. Vance obviously is a retard who is influenced by Tucker Carlson and is probably the one behind all of these negotiations in his ear saying, look, we have to do this, we have to do that. And so Trump, unfortunately, is making a mistake and is just like a human being, makes mistakes. Again, I think that there is a huge possibility that him and Bibi are planning something past this Friday signing, that there's actually something going on, and that they're trying to trick the Iranian media by, saying that there is some sort of drift in their relationship. I truly do believe that because I don't think Trump would do all of this just to have, a Obama 2.0 deal for the nuclear deal. But I could be wrong. And, if I am wrong, again, that's unfortunately the way that it works. Trump is going to be making a mistake. He's going to be caving because the Republicans want votes. They want to win midterms, which they won't win midterms regardless. And authoritarian regimes, which don't have to worry about what the populace thinks, are able to stay in power because of that very reason. So that's exactly how these smaller nations are able to defeat America. Not defeat as in they've taken over our government, placed their flag on our Capitol building, but defeat as in we didn't destroy them. Now, remember, we tried to kill Fidel Castro 60 times. We tried to put a bomb in we tried to make a custom cigar with a bomb in it to kill him. And this is a man who put Soviet nukes on Cuban soil aimed at Miami. And we couldn't kill him. That was a true David and Goliath situation. And not to say that Fidel Castro is any David and U.S. is Goliath in that case, but it's just an example of numbers because an island nation of 10 million compared to the United States of 350 million was not able to win. So again, it goes to show that a weak populace is actually extremely, extremely detrimental. And that's exactly why we're probably not going to be able to have regime change in Iran. Now, the next thing is this, and this is going to be really tough for a lot of you to hear, but Regime change has to come from the people of Iran. I understand there have been mass executions. 40, 50,000 people have been killed in the streets. But if you could overthrow the Shah in the 80s, or in the late 70s, I mean, you can overthrow the Ayatollah. It's not going to happen where we have thousands of US troops on the ground like we did in Iraq. It's not going to happen, okay? This is just not the way the world works anymore. Army officers of Iran have to join the revolution. IRGC officers have to join the revolution. People have to keep protesting in the streets. And if you don't, then 40,000 people died for nothing. But if you expect America to come in every single time, it's not going to happen. America, like I said, is a democratic republic. And unfortunately, in times of war, I believe democracy weakens you, and centralized leaders with authoritarian grip are able to remain unchecked and are able to keep their nation loyal. And unfortunately, that's the way that it goes. So that kind of sums up why I think we're going to not be able to have regime change in Iran. But now I want to talk about something else, which is why I think democracy is not good for Israel long term. Not taking away democracy as a whole, but I'm saying democracy as they have right now, as a parliamentary system, it's not going to work. Because as you can see, if this drift with Bibi and Trump is true, then if I was Israel, I wouldn't want to be reliant on American money and American foreign aid. I wouldn't even want to rely on any sort of American influence. If I want to save Iran or if I want to do some sort of military action, I should be able to do so. And the Israeli government, the Prime Minister Netanyahu, is basically held hostage by the Haredim, who don't want to go to the military, anti-Zionist pieces of shit, leftists who want to capitulate and offer all of the land away to the Arabs, and he's forced to make deals in this, backroom way to make sure that he stays in power. And I understand where he's coming from, and honestly, it's better that it's him than anyone else, because they're 10 times worse. Naftali Bennett is a snake. But unfortunately, that's the way that it works. So when you have a system like that, where the Prime Minister has to worry about 10 things at once while fighting wars on multiple fronts, and the Arab leaders who are dictators who don't have to worry about any sort of democratic process can just keep throwing troops and keep throwing artillery and bombs and whatever, then how are you supposed to win? How are you supposed to win? Eventually there's going to be a left-wing government. Eventually they're going to offer peace to the Arabs again. They're going to offer a two-state solution. People are going to forget about October 7th. Or the Haredim are going to have so many children that they take over the state. And then everyone's going to leave Israel. So what Israel really needs to have is a stronger centralized system. You can't have a dictator, because dictatorships are wrong and always leads to persecution. But you can't have a democracy in the way that it is now. What you need to have is a system where only approved Zionist parties are able to run for government, okay? So if you want to be religious, you want to be Haredi, that's fine. You have to be Zionist. You have to serve in the military. Oh, you don't want to serve in the military? Okay, you can go to jail or you can be deported. Israel needs to understand that they should focus on existence, not coexistence. And if they form this sort of government with a stronger leader, a stronger centralized leader with, say, a 12-year term, who's elected by a council of generals and rabbis and judges and really prominent citizens, as opposed to a public vote, I think it would produce beneficial results. And I know that's a lot to swallow, but just because someone is elected democratically doesn't mean they're the best man for the job. Hitler was elected democratically. Often being elected democratically means that you lied to the populace in the most charismatic and slimy way, and that's why you are where you are. So with a stronger executive, with a stronger central government, the executive in charge doesn't have to worry about things like protests and things like left wing coming to power for giving up land to the Arabs, or having to worry about Haredim blocking the roads because they don't want to go to the military. A strong executive is willing to say, this is what's going to happen, this is what's going to happen. I believe he should have 12-year terms, he or she. I believe that he should outrank the prime minister, and there should be still elected processes for the prime minister and all the government, beforehand. But the top executive of the country should be someone that is chosen by a council of, people that really have skin in the game, that have proven themselves. And if we do that sort of thing, we would be in a much better position to face our enemies, because we wouldn't have to worry about, what America has to say. We wouldn't have to worry about, God forbid, a Bernie Sanders type or Ilhan Omar or AOC becomes president one day. We don't have to worry about that, because a centralized leader is willing to say, I don't give a shit what you have to say. We're a nuclear power. We can do what we want. This is what we're doing. We want regime change in Iran. We're doing it with or without you. Are you coming? No? Okay, we're still going to do it. So again, as I said, this video was truly all over the place. But if you really, dive deep into everything, you're going to understand why I'm advocating for a more centralized system. Again, it's not a dictatorship. It just is, a difference. It's a revolutionary system, to be honest with you. So let me know what you think, and I hope that this, regime comes to an end very soon. And again, I really, really do hope that Trump and Bibi have something planned, and that this Friday, even if it's signed, that there's something that's going to happen afterwards. But if not, you know why. I just told you why. Democracy.